Explore the fascinating world of artificial intelligence perception, Jungian psychology, the nature of self, and stress management strategies. This lesson covers three interconnected domains: how we perceive artificial intelligence, Carl Jung's theories of self, and psychological approaches to stress and coping. Let's begin by exploring how humans perceive and interact with artificial intelligence systems. When evaluating AI, psychologists identify two critical dimensions: agency and experience. Agency refers to the capacity to act, plan, control, and think, relating to moral responsibility. Experience refers to the capacity to feel, sense, desire, and possess consciousness, relating to rights. Anthropomorphism is our tendency to attribute human qualities to AI, which increases when AI appears or behaves more human-like. The more human-like an AI system appears, the more we tend to project human characteristics onto it, attributing emotions, intentions, and consciousness it may not actually possess. Our relationship with AI involves contradictory psychological phenomena. Algorithm aversion means people quickly lose trust in AI after one noticeable error, despite high success rates. Conversely, automation bias means accepting AI outputs without critical evaluation. Relying on AI creates cognitive offloading, where we use external tools to perform mental tasks, reducing internal effort. Research shows that exposure to large language models like ChatGPT significantly increases people's perception of both agency and experience in AI systems. Personality matters. Higher agreeableness and openness correlate with positive AI attitudes, while conspiracy mindset and older age correlate with less favorable attitudes. Interestingly, loneliness increases the tendency to attribute mind and human qualities to AI systems, and frequent chatbot use actually correlates with increased loneliness. Now let's explore Carl Jung's influential theories about the human psyche and personality development. Jung defined archetypes as innate psychological patterns or universal structures that shape how humans perceive, feel, and respond to common life situations. Jung believed these archetypes exist in a collective unconscious, a biological level of unconscious, shared across all humanity, containing inherited patterns. Modern psychology explains the recurrence of archetypal patterns through shared psychological architecture and universal human challenges, rather than inherited symbolic structures. Jung identified several key structures that make up the human psyche. The ego is the center of consciousness, providing identity. The persona is the mask we present to the world. The shadow contains disowned, repressed parts of S. The anima represents the repressed feminine side in men, while the animus represents the repressed masculine side in women. The self is the unifying, encompassing structure of the entire psyche, including both conscious and unconscious components. Individuation is Jung's term for the lifelong process of psychological growth, where the core action is making unconscious contents conscious. Integration in individuation requires confronting and acknowledging dark aspects of personality, particularly the shadow, as present and real for self-knowledge. Jung emphasized symbolic thinking, which compresses complex ideas into simple forms for processing and creates shared meaning for social cooperation. Let's explore modern psychological theories about the self, self-esteem, and identity. The sociometer hypothesis proposes that self-esteem functions as an internal gauge, monitoring whether you're being included or excluded by others. Like a fuel gauge in a car, self-esteem constantly monitors social acceptance, rising when included and falling when excluded. Psychologists identify three distinct versions of the self that shape our experience. The actual self is who you believe you are now. The ideal self is who you wish to be. The ought self is who you believe others think you should be. When there's a large gap between your actual and ideal self, it causes dejection, sadness, and disappointment. When there's a large gap between your actual and ought self, it causes agitation, guilt, embarrassment, and distress. Self-esteem operates on two levels: explicit and implicit. Explicit self-esteem is conscious and measured through self-report questionnaires. Implicit self-esteem is non-conscious and measured through tests like the implicit association test. Fragile self-esteem occurs when someone has high explicit self-esteem but low implicit self-esteem, correlating with narcissism and hypersensitivity to criticism. Self-concept complexity means having many different, distinct, and separate roles or facets in your self-concept. High self-complexity protects against stress and emotional impact. When you fail in one domain, other intact domains buffer the blow, providing resilience. Finally, let's explore how we experience and manage stress through psychological coping strategies. Stress is defined as the feeling produced by events we perceive as threatening or uncontrollable. Primary appraisal assesses whether an event threatens your goals. Secondary appraisal assesses whether you have resources to cope. You must perceive both to experience stress. How we explain negative events dramatically affects our stress levels and health outcomes. Pessimistic attributional style explains negative events as internal, stable, and global. Optimistic style explains them as external, unstable, and specific. Research shows optimistic attributional style leads to better self-reported health, stronger immune function, quicker illness recovery, longer life, and better health behaviors. People use various strategies to protect their self-esteem when facing challenges. Defensive pessimism sets intentionally low expectations to manage anxiety. Self-handicapping actively creates obstacles as excuses for potential failure. Psychologists have identified several evidence-based coping strategies. Optimistic reframing involves consciously recognizing that blame may not be internal and acting confident to build genuine confidence. Writing about traumatic or stressful events serves as powerful emotional processing and is a validated coping strategy. For catastrophizing thoughts, distraction involves carrying the negative thought to an absurd extreme to regain a sense of control and perspective. These three domains interconnect to form a comprehensive understanding of human psychology. I perception, self-identity, and stress coping represent interconnected aspects of modern psychological understanding, each informing the others. Understanding these psychological concepts empowers us with better self-awareness, more effective coping strategies, and improved mental health outcomes in our technology-saturated world.